are ready. And we will begin as we always do. First, I will call this meeting of the Glendale Village Council to order and ask that everyone join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
to the flag
of the United
of the
States of
United
America,
States of America,
and to the republic
and to the republic
stands
for
which
which
it
it
stands,
one nation,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
and
with liberty
and
and justice for all.
And now I'm going to ask everybody to mute unless they are speaking to avoid background noise. I am going to note that this is a virtual meeting, which is permitted. We have complied with all requirements under Ohio law to conduct this meeting in virtual medium instead of in person. I will begin by asking the clerk to call the roll so we can confirm that we have a quorum.
Roll call. Mr. Bessel.
Here.
Mr. Howeller is absent. Ms. Duke.
Here.
Ms. Masenko.
Here.
Mr. Basemith.
Here.
Mr. Kreidler.
Here.
Thank you.
Clerk, I believe we have a quorum. Can you confirm that?
I confirm the presence of a quorum.
Thank you. We have an agenda that has been circulated in advance, and there have been no objections to it. I will note that with an apology to council that we didn't get out the final version of the agenda as quickly as we might have, and we'll work on that. But in any event, the additional ordinance contained the motion of Mr. Lumsden to administrator to take place April 1st. And we certainly have been well aware that that was coming for many months now. We'll begin with the minutes from the February 1st meeting. These minutes have been circulated, revised, and I will entertain a motion to approve them as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None. Motion carried. We will now go to the public presentations, public comment portion of the meeting. And the first resident who is requested to speak is Kevin Parrish. Mr. Parrish has a slide presentation for us. And I believe, David, are you going to put the slides up as he goes along?
I am. Give me 1 second to get it pulled up here. I will get that ready and then promote Mr. Parrish.
Okay, and then his time will begin when he begins speaking. Mr. Parrish, are you there?
Hi, I'm here.
Very good.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, okay. Dave, could you put the first slide up? This evening, I will be presenting a presentation, and this is the Phase 1 sanitary sewer project that was introduced to the village, signed on 9 September of 2016. Could you go to the next slide, David? Could you blow that up some?
That's as large as I can get it.
Oh, okay. Anyway, if you go to the index, this is the overlay of it outlining the areas of repair that was outlined in this Phase 1 sanitary sewer project. As you'll note that only one area is in red, and that is Cole Avenue in the historic Black district of the village of Glendale. Could you go to the next slide, David? Now this, you can't blow that up any bigger either, right, Dave?
That's correct. The size for all slides is the
Not a
size.
problem. This is the project cost. And as you can see that the engineer says that this repair would only be guaranteed for 50 years. could you go to the next slide, David? This is the contract that was agreed upon with the Village of Glendale and Council on the bid with Interstrom Technologies. This was the contractor. Could you go to the next slide, please? Now, on this slide, this is the condition of the pipe that is on Cole Avenue. This was the only one, the street earmarked for total replacement. Could you go to the next slide, please, David? These are more pictures of the conditions of the pipe when you have a system that is over 100 years old. And when requesting maintenance records for that, Glendale could not produce any records for maintenance for the past 40 years. Could you go to the next slide, please, David? This is the contractors trying to sleeve this street where it was already earmarked for total pipe replacement. Could you go to the next slide, please, David? This is them attempting to sleeve it again, but finding out that that was impossible and that this needed to be replaced as indicated at first. So could you go to the next slide, please, David?
That was the final slide.
Okay. What we have here is some conditions.
Mr. Parrish, I can't hear you.
It appears he's muted himself.
No, did I?
We just heard you.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes.
now.
Yes.
Okay. So we have a big problem here because when I asked for under public records request, the records for this work that was being done, then by response from our village administrator, they said that we don't have any records for this work being done. And that's pretty outrageous when I have not only pictures, and I have lots more pictures and videos of the events that happened on the week of December the 6th through the 13th. I just wanted to show a viewing audience what we're dealing with our water conditions in the village of Glendale with a 100-year-old system that is inadequate in many areas. And that what we're doing is need to address it in a more profound and serious way. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Parrish. The next resident who is registered to speak is Michael Burnham. Mr. Burnham, are you there?
You're on mute, Mike.
How's that? Any better?
Yes.
All right. Since I can't see or hear myself. Mike Burnham, 95 East Fountain Avenue. Thanks for your time, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of quick things. I really didn't want to take up council time. And as you know, Don, I sent you a note on Saturday, and I know you didn't have time to reply. One of my pet peeves is that we get the agenda link after 5 o'clock on Friday and the meeting's on Monday. It doesn't give us as residents a whole lot of time to review your agenda and decide if we want to speak. So apologize for the short notice, and I'm disappointed that you couldn't reply, so I have to discuss this here. I think everybody on council knows my issues. I just want to make sure it appears that we're hiring, will be hiring 2 of our most important positions within the next 60 days or so. And I just want to make sure that we're following the correct process. Since I have no information at all on what the process is, I had just asked a bunch of questions that haven't been answered. I wanted to say, one, with the village administrator's position, clearly we've been fortunate to have Wally and we're fortunate to have David working with us. And my questions in no way center around David's capability or qualifications. My concerns center around the due diligence process for this hire and whether we posted the position, looked at any other candidates, interviewed any other candidates, and whether council has met with any other candidates. One way to deal with that, I've looked for an executive session to see if you guys discussed this position, and I couldn't find any. So I'm not sure what kind of discussion council has had, and I'm not sure what kind of review you've done, but I'm just hoping that you've done an extremely good review. We've had some challenges with hiring people in the past, and I just want to make sure that I hope this is you're doing this the way you should be doing it. So my questions were, had the position been posted? How many candidates were interviewed? And then my third part of my question was about the salary for the position and how it was arrived at. I had done some research historically, and the reality is for a town of 2,500, actually 2,300 people, we pay a considerable amount of money for our village administrator. I've seen towns our size pay as little as $35,000 or $40,000 up to maybe $60,000 or $65,000. And I just don't know how that $75,000 figure was arrived at. So I was looking for an explanation on that. Same issue really with the upcoming hiring of a new police chief. I had asked some questions about that. I got a response from Wally, and hopefully he misspoke. I think he indicated in his email that we weren't going to begin the process of hiring until after Chief Warman was gone. I would hope that we'd begin the hiring immediately so that we have some coverage in the interim. I know we're appointing an interim chief, but with 60 days notice, I'm not sure why that has to be. And again, I'm curious about the process, whether we're posting the position, whether we'll be interviewing candidates, and how that process will be completed. Don, I guess I look forward to your answers since I don't have them before the meeting, but I did send a note, so I think that the council is aware of my concerns, and as you vote tonight or discuss tonight, I just hope that you're really doing your due diligence and really understand the candidate or candidates that you're looking at and the impact, long-term impact of your decision tonight. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. David, do we have any other residents who have registered to address council?
We do not.
Okay. Moving on in the agenda, we do not have any old business, so we'll move to new business. And we will begin with ordinance 2021-07, an ordinance appointing auxiliary police officer Mike Webb to the position of a part-time police officer not to exceed 30 hours per week, establishing compensation, probation, and declaring an emergency. Lieutenant Walsh, I believe you are here in lieu of, you're going to give this introduction instead of Chief Warman, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. The floor is yours.
Mr. Webb comes to us. He's got 16 years of law enforcement experience. He is currently a full-time police officer with the Village of Elmwood. His job as part-time will be to supplement hours right now that aren't being used by other part-time officers. And Mike will be sworn in tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, have you made that arrangement with Sally?
Yes, that's what I was told by Chief Warman.
Okay, great. Because it hadn't shown up on my calendar yet.
Okay.
So, do I have a motion for this ordinance?
So moved. Second.
And a motion to dispense with 3 reads?
So moved. Second.
Okay, any discussion? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
To dispense with the 3 reads, Mr. Bessel,
Aye.
Ms. Duke,
Aye.
Ms. Masenko,
Aye.
Mr. Baysmith,
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
For the ordinance, Mr. Bessel,
Aye.
Ms. Duke,
Aye.
Ms. Masenko,
Aye.
Mr. Baysmith,
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion is carried. We move to ordinance 2021-08, an ordinance appointing Glendale volunteer firefighters Jason Reagan, Jacob Schatz, Ryan Turnley, and John Tyler, establishing a 1-year probationary period and declaring an emergency. Chief Hardwick, would you care to just give some introduction to these folks?
Sure.
And I apologize for mangling the pronunciation of Jacob's name there. I usually look those over beforehand, and that I just forgot to do it. So my apologies to Jacob.
Okay, well, we'll start with Jacob and make him number 1 on the list here. Jacob's from Liberty Township. Currently, he's working at Lowe's up here in Springdale. Jacob is one that has not had any firefighting training. We currently have him enrolled in our 36-hour volunteer firefighter class that we are working in with the Green Hills Fire Department. That will be completed by the end of March, and be glad to have him. He's one of our, he's a younger guy. The next one is John Tyler. John Tyler resides in Westchester, Ohio. John currently is a national registered EMT. He is attending paramedic training. He is a retired U.S. Army veteran. He spent 22 years in the Army. He also has quite extensive educational background, a Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice and a Master of Public Affairs from Indiana University. So John's, we're glad to bring John on board to with his leadership from the military and the benefits that we can get out of that. Next one is Ryan Turnley. Ryan resides in Mason, Ohio. Ryan is also a military veteran. He also has a bachelor's in political science, master's of business administration, and a certified professional forecaster for business practice production. Ryan currently is working for and has worked for Nestle Waters North America from 2014 till now. He's always had the interest of being in the fire service, and this was an opportunity he felt he wanted to take at this time. Last but not least, Jason Reagan. Jason's already an EMT basic. He's nationally registered EMT as well. He resides in Fairfield, Ohio. Jason has his U.S. Army experience from 93 to 16 with his honorable retirement. He's currently works as an emergency department technician at Butler, Tri-Health Bethesda Butler Emergency. Again, basing his military experience and background, feel like we're definitely adding to our personnel here at the fire department. That's it.
Thank you, Chief. I have a motion for this ordinance
So moved.
Second,
and a motion to dispense with 3 reads.
So moved.
second,
Any discussion? I've just got one question for the chief here. I'm always incredibly impressed with the, fine young people you find, not all young, fine people you bring forward to serve, to volunteer for the village of Glendale. I'm wondering what is our current count in the department these days with the addition of these 4 firefighters?
With these 4, our total roster would be at 58. That's inclusive of people that are not emergency responders like Dr. Leach and our EMS coordinator, Aaron, a couple of people that aren't on active duty right now due to being on medical leave. So actively, we have 50 people that are on the emergency response role.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
Sure.
Is there any further discussion? Madam Clerk?
To dispense with the 3 reads, Mr. Bessel,
Aye.
Ms. Duke,
Aye.
Ms. Masenko,
Aye.
Mr. Basemuth,
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
For the ordinance, Mr. Bessel,
Aye.
Ms. Duke,
Aye.
Ms. Masenko,
Aye.
Mr. Basemuth,
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. We turn now to ordinance 2021-09. An ordinance appointing David Lumsden to the position of village administrator, establishing compensation, probation, and declaring an emergency. And I will undertake to at least introduce this ordinance because it reflects my decision on the succession for our administrator. In fact, I've known David. I was trying to think about it. I guess I've known him for almost 6 years now. Now, there were a couple of years when he was over in Green Hills and we didn't have that close contact, but we were always looking to poach him from there anyway. So I feel like I did know him. We stayed in touch. And 4 of the years, 3.5, 4, were actually working for the village, first as an unpaid intern, then as a paid intern. Then he went to Green Hills, but returned to us in the assistant administrator role. I don't even know the exact title, but it's, it has been a real pleasure on my part to see David develop and to see, I concluded very early on that he was a very competent individual. He has the education for this position. He has his master's in public affairs from, so when we brought him in 2019, we knew that Wally wasn't going to be with us much longer, and we wanted to see if David could work out in that position. And I can tell you that I've been impressed, Wally's been impressed, and I've gotten virtually nothing but, in fact, nothing but positive feedback on David. So I'm very pleased to bring him forward as the person to succeed Mr. Cordes. I will just point out, just in case anybody is wondering, and I guess the subject of money did come up, David, close your ears for this one, but he will be among the lowest paid administrators in the Hamilton County area at the salary that we are proposing. And that is not inappropriate, given that, yes, this is his first job as an administrator, but I think he's in a good position to grow with us in the village here. So with that said, do I have a motion for this ordinance?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
And a motion to dispense with 3 reads?
So moved. Second.
Okay. Is there any further discussion on this?
Don, I think you summed that up very well, I thought, and well said. I worked with David when he was the intern and when there was a possibility to bring him back to our village. It was something that I thought was a good decision to make. David is a quick study. He understands our village government now very well, and it is a small village, but there are a lot of intricacies. He's a quick study. He's picked up on things very quickly. His technology knowledge is second to none. Anytime I've ever asked for information, he produces it immediately. Worked well through the budgeting process, and I like him because he's similar to me. He doesn't like to let dollars out of his grubby hands, so that's a good thing. And he's personable, and I think is a good fit for the village. And again, like you, Don, anyone who's ever had interaction with David seems to have had a good experience. So I'm very happy that he's agreed to come on for Wally. I also put a lot of, in these types of decisions, I think you do that too, Don. I put a lot of weight on what the outgoing person thinks, and Wally feels that David is well suited for the job. So I think this is a good move.
Further discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to comment very briefly and also voice my support for David in the bottom line. However, I do disagree with how we have handled the process. At least to my knowledge, there has not been the kind of input from council in any significant way or substantial way, at least from my perspective. I think that we could have done that. And yet I am aware that in this coronavirus environment, we are operating with at least 1.5 hands behind our back. So things which we may have done to cross the I's and dot the T's, we may not be doing at this particular time. In terms of David's ability, his character, his work style, I do appreciate the fact that he is more data-driven than normal. And with the use of spreadsheets, he's able to present information in subjective or rather objective ways. And that I very much appreciate. I also like the way he, over the past 5 years that I have worked with him, I like the way he has taken on responsibilities and taken on initiatives, such as when we vetted candidates for the village's banking services back in 2016, such as when we vetted candidates for the utility payment online. And I hope David remembers those. He does, yes. And
Still have all those files.
yes, and so David also took on the challenge of converting the village's website from the drab old way it used to be to what we have today. And that was an idea that he helped bring to fruition. I could go on, but the bottom line is I do support David. I do understand this is a 1-year probationary period, and you have my support for that. Thank you.
Further comment? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
To dispense with the 3 reads. Mr. Bessel,
Aye.
Ms. Duke,
Aye.
Ms. Masenko,
Aye.
Mr. Baysmith,
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
For the ordinance, Mr. Bessel,
Aye.
Ms. Duke,
Aye.
Ms. Masenko,
Aye.
Mr. Baysmith,
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion-
Congratulations, David.
Thank you.
You let us know in a year if you think it's congratulations. We are so proud, so happy to have you aboard. Great. And
I'm happy to be aboard.
and to anyone, who's-
Congratulations, David.
I really feel like promoting from within, when you have a highly qualified candidate who has shown himself to us the way David has, that's the way to go. We're going to turn now to the reports. We have no resolution, so we'll turn to the reports to the mayor, standing committees, and the special committees. We have no reported births. We have 2 deaths that will be acknowledged when we can again meet in person. So I'm going to turn to one piece of big news about Sharon Avenue. As of today, the new water is flowing through the new water main into the village, to the water tower. The old one is still lying there by its side like a sentinel or something, but is not functioning. We are still making sure that everything was done correctly. So, I mean, Wally called it a punch list, but whatever it is, it's we want to make sure that the work was done right before we pay the bill. We do have plans to now that the road has been dug up so many times, more than anybody can count. We've got plans to repave it. We are going to apply for a grant in April to see how much money we can get towards the probably $1.2 million cost of the repaving project, but it's obviously something that's going to have to be done. I will let Mr. Baysmith or Mr. Cordis add any details that they would care to, but I'll let them save that for the utilities report. Cleveland Park we've been working on this for a while now to get some new equipment onto the playground and get some new, just freshen the ambience of the place. And I think we're making good progress. We have 4 bids, and at least one of which is under the amount of money that we have available from a grant. So if we stick with that, there will be no cost to the village. There are some options to add on some things that I think Mr. Baysmith and his recreation committee will discuss once we get the bids analyzed by our engineers. Again, I would hope that by the next meeting, March 29th, by the way, not in April, due to the holiday, we will have an ordinance to put in front of you to accept a bid and get the project going. COVID testing is continuing and will continue until March 29th. And we are hopeful that they will extend again on us. That depends on their funding, but it certainly has been something that has been good for the village to have this testing so close at hand. For those listening who don't know, the testing takes place on Tuesdays, and it's in Town Hall, and we do have an elevator to get you up to the top if there's any problem with stairs. Just finally, probably many people have noticed that the flags have been flying at half staff for a while in the village. 2 separate events. The first was President Biden and Governor DeWine ordered that the flags fly at half staff from February 23rd through 26th in commemoration of the 500,000 people who in the United States who have lost their lives due to COVID. And this applied to state and federal flags, and of course to the Glendale flag as well. We will just very recently, I'm sure we all read the tragic story of the Department of Natural Resources officer who lost his life bravely trying to rescue a girl who had fallen into a lake through the ice. And unfortunately, they both died in the attempt. But Officer Jason Legore is truly a hero for all of us. And Governor DeWine ordered that flags be flown at half staff on public buildings in his home county of Highland County, and indicated that the other municipalities and localities in the state may, in their discretion, fly their flags at half staff. And we in Glendale are going to exercise that discretion to honor this brave officer until his funeral, which I believe is scheduled for March 3rd. Is that correct, Wally?
Yes, sir. March 3rd.
Yeah.
Services.
So our flags will fly at half staff until the evening of March 3rd. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to the clerk to request Committee reports.
Okay, Finance Committee, please.
The Finance Committee did not meet. I would like to meet in this month, but we'll schedule offline. That's it for Finance.
Thank you. Fire Committee. Do we want to go to Chief Hardwick, please?
Wait.
Oh, sorry, I missed one. Sorry. Police, I meant police.
Well,
Sorry,
okay,
go ahead,
sorry.
Nancy. Go
So
ahead.
Fire Committee, okay.
Yep. Oh, sorry, that was you. I had you and Alan confused.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that happens all the time.
I know it does.
Fire Committee did not meet, but the work continued on the kitchen area. I'm happy to report, but I'm also happy to turn this over to Chief. Welcome back, Chief Hardwick. And in your report, could I ask, please, that there are 2 stories of the exceptional level of emergency response from our volunteer fire department. If you could include, there are two stories that I'm aware of. I think that you could share. And I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. I'll start with that. For those of you that aren't aware, we had an EMS run in the village. Actually, it was January the 30th, where a person in the village actually had a stroke. We got dispatched from our time of dispatch till we arrived on the scene was a minute. It was not far from the firehouse. Along with that, the mobile stroke unit was dispatched with us, along with our Sharonville EMS medic unit. The mobile stroke unit is stationed in Springfield Township. It's a new unit. It's out on a trial basis right now and out and throughout Hamilton County. It offers us the opportunity to advance level of care for a potential stroke patient. What we actually have on board is the CAT scanner, but they can actually do a CAT scan out here in the field. Strokes, when it's a clot related, there are some medications. You may have heard of TPA. TPA is invaluable when you have a blood clot in the brain causing the stroke. You have to do an evaluation to determine that the stroke's being caused by a clot and not from a ruptured artery. So they actually did that on the scene here. We're able to determine that it was a blood clot administered to TPA. What's nice about it is that the outcome was very well. The patient recovered very quickly, very likely not to have much a disability from the stroke. The medic unit arrived 4 minutes after us, and from the time of dispatch until the mobile stroke unit arrived on the scene was 14 minutes. From the time that the call was made to the communication center till the patient arrived at the hospital was 55 minutes. Like I said, our guys being on the scene in a minute to confirm that there wasn't a stroke patient in our hands, it clearly says how the benefit of that. Time is of extreme essence in a stroke incident. Being able to do, excuse me a second, being the time of the essence, it gave us that opportunity to confirm with the stroke unit, have them ready. They actually operate from telemedicine through the hospital, with the outcome being what it was. Very happy for our guys to be able to do that so quickly and such a positive outcome. The second incident that we had where timing was of essence was we had a fire on up the street here on Church Avenue. We got to run at 1:36 in the morning. Our guys were out of the firehouse and on the scene in 4 minutes. So from time of dispatch to on scene in 4 minutes, we were able to get water applied to the initial fire attack in less than 8 minutes. We were 4 minutes ahead of the next arriving fire company. The house is an older house that is built up balloon construction. Those of you who are familiar with that, those fires get in the walls and travel very quickly throughout the structure. Getting that quick knockdown on a fire really prevented a great deal of loss that potentially was there. So again, it's a shout out to all my guys on the department at 1:30 in the morning to be able to get out so quick and do a fantastic job of getting ahead of the fire. So those are the two that Nancy was describing. Like I said, a big shout out to my guys. In general, though, in February, fairly busy month for us. 37 total fire and EMS responses. We had over 4,400 hours this past month, which is incredible. A lot of guys putting in the time. We've been working on. We had got guys and girls both here today doing drywall finishing in the kitchen area. So it's good to see our people that are helping to make this all come through fruition. To get our kitchen area complete. It's going well. With the COVID-19 situation, we still remain, we're fairly steady. Our numbers are down a little bit. We're at a point where we just need to continue doing what we're doing, wearing the face mask, social distancing, washing hands. That's all has made a difference where we are at, both here in Glendale as throughout the county and the state. Statewide, our numbers are still doing pretty well. We're getting ahead of it. The vaccinations, I can't emphasize enough the importance of vaccination. That will make the difference in the long run. Our engine is out, our backup engine is out of service. We're working to get that repaired. We have a volunteer fire class and a firefighter 1 class, both going on at the same time. Both of those look to wrap up by the end of March as well. And bringing in our new people. Excited to get some of these, some of the military experienced people in here. I think that's a big feather in our cap. We've made an effort to try and go after some of the veterans that we can benefit from their life experience as well as their time in the military. You know, our service here in the fire department is very much military based. So if we can get guys that have that experience, it makes it easier for us. We are just about complete building the Glendale Emergency Operations Center here within our training room. We had some more radio installs over the weekend. So should we ever need that facility, it's here for us and for the council and the community. We're very happy to have that functional. And that's what my report for the month. Thanks.
Thank you. Laws and claims, please.
Laws and claims did not meet in February. I had hoped we could. And it is, I'd like for it to meet in March. I have been in communication with Police Committee Chair Alan Howeller for a matter that is carried over from his committee. And he and I are continuing to discuss the timeliness of it and the need for specific information, which I'd like to discuss with the mayor offline. We're looking at hopefully meeting in March, and I would very much like for, again, Alan to join us as chair of the police committee. So I will pursue this offline.
Thank you. Police committee. Mr. Howeller's out. Do we want Lieutenant Walsh? Do you want to give the report?
Yes. A couple things that happened in February. One, on the 11th of February, we had a street robbery attempt in Washington Park at Washington and Jefferson. A young male subject approached a female walking her dog on the sidewalk in that area. He grabbed her around the neck, attempted to assault her with the help of her dog and herself. She was able to get free and get away from the subject. Subject was later apprehended and arrested and has been charged and will be going to court here soon. The second was a police pursuit within the last week or so. started by the Ohio State Highway Patrol. That incident started on the interstate, entered into Glendale on Sharon Road, at which time the person being pursued hit the railroad tracks and launched his car, at which point he came down in a tree in front of the Harry Whiting Brown house. Unknown at the time, the car was later reported stolen or found to be stolen. And with the help of a village resident, we were able to find and locate and turn the firearm that was missing over to the Ohio State Highway Patrol. A resident called. Officer Lee went down, at which point he found more stuff, and then with an extensive search on his behalf, was able to find the firearm. And that's all I've got.
Thank you. Public buildings and historic preservation, please.
Public buildings did not meet. Bessel and Bay Smith, how are you looking the week of the 15th to meet? And David, I'll shoot you an email tomorrow to see if Tom Aldifer, what's the best day for him. If any day that week, I'll shoot you all an email to see how everybody looks.
Sounds
And
good.
we can discuss how the last couple of weeks of winter weather has beat up our public buildings, see how we're doing.
St. Patrick's Day sounds great.
I'm
Perfect.
quite flexible that week, Will.
Okay. How's your St. Patrick's Day look, Mike?
Well, I could do that.
Okay, I'll email you all tomorrow.
Okay.
And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Recreation and playgrounds, please.
Oh, the Recreations and Playgrounds Committee did not meet. I think the mayor covered pretty thoroughly the events. We do have now some proposals. And I would like to invite those who are interested to attend a scheduled meeting of the committee to look at the various equipment configurations. And if they have some suggestions or input, that would be a great opportunity for them to have the opportunity to express themselves. We don't have a meeting scheduled at this point in time. Looks like St. Patrick's Day is occupied, but I will get in touch with, well, I guess it's actually Mike, Mr. Russell and Marilyn, but I'll get in touch offline and we'll try to set up a date.
Very good.
That is, as I said, the mayor covered it pretty thoroughly. It is going to look great. Thank you.
Thank you. Streets, public improvement and lights, please.
The Streets Committee did not meet. We will attempt to get together this month, and I'll follow up with everyone offline. We'll need to have a meeting first with Tom Aldorfer and Wally and David, and then we'll call the committee together. That's it for streets.
Thank you. Utilities, please.
That's me again. Yes, before I start, let me acknowledge that the Sharon Avenue water main after many years is complete, and Wally has shepherded that progress, trying to get it accomplished for years. And as he's parting, it's at a time when he's achieved a long targeted goal. And I would invite Wally to if there's anything else we can add to that, please do so at this moment.
Well, I'll recap the completion that we performed last week entering into today. As the mayor mentioned at the beginning of his report, New Main is online. It is connected to everything. It is connected to 78 homes with new water
lateral lines, which are the taps that go from the house to the water main, all the way up to the sidewalk. All those connections, 78 of them were replaced with new material. Of the 78 homes from the sidewalk to the street, only 2 were found to have lead services, and both of those residents were offered the option of a discounted replacement to replace the lead. And at this time, they've declined to replace the lead. But we were impressed that out of 78 homes, 76 did not have lead. We thought the number would be much higher. The punch list, as the mayor and Jeff mentioned, is taking place now, so we can look at damage curve and restorations that didn't meet our standard, and we'll get that done. And we're holding back the funds until that punch list is completed. But now that that's done, the new water main is done, we can now work towards what the committee has asked to find out where our water loss, where other areas the water loss can be located in. And Kevin Bell, our utility superintendent, has asked the Ohio Rural Water Authority to bring in their high-tech equipment and to begin tracing down various streets, presumably in the older section of town where the 100-year-old mains are, to find out where the next water main is that we can determine has a leak significant enough that might require digging the road up and repairing it, or possibly replacing it.
Oh, thank you. And that's great. Kind of leaving the game with a home run. That's great. The committee did meet on February 11th with the focus at that time, a discussion of continuing to address the significant loss of unbilled water produced by our water plant. A motion was made and approved unanimously to establish and execute a plan of actions with the goal of reducing that loss to 15 to 20% by the end of 2024. If this result can be achieved, it represents a potential savings to the village of $75,000 to $100,000 per year. The replacement of the Sharon Avenue water main will hopefully contribute greatly to that. But we're going to, as Wally mentioned, get started on taking further action. And thank you. That's my report.
Thank you.
And now we turn to the clerk and the treasurer. Madam Clerk, you usually don't have a report, so I'm going to jump to the treasurer here. Mr. Beaugrand.
I forwarded the investment reports to council for your review, and if you had any questions, let me know. As all of you know, our interest rates are continuing to decline. CF Bank, which was providing some good rates versus others, is down now to 0.5%. But it's still better than any new investments that we could obtain at this time. So we could just hope that the economy will have a turnaround and that CDs will again become an attractive investment mechanism. But I think we're far off from that.
Thank you. And finally, we received with our packets 2 financial reports. We don't have the reports on actual revenue and expenses because this being March 1st and the closing date of last month was just too close to get that done. But we have a report on the general checking 2021-03 certification for the payment of certain bills. We have the enterprise checking 2021-03 certification for the payment of certain bills. And with your police reports, today you received from the police chief, the report from the mayor's court. So may I have a motion to acknowledge receipt of all these reports?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.
Mayor, I do have two quick questions of the general checking
All right.
for either Wally or David on 2/11, on February 11th. Is that $9,400 for teleconferencing? Is that for the new upgrades in the firehouse? And
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead with your second question. Will.
one is same day, there's a $40,400 Ford Explorer expense, SUV. I was wondering about those two.
So the 9,400 for the ICB is the tech upgrades to the village office that was paid for using coronavirus relief funding. And then the 40,000, I'll let either Chief Orman or Lieutenant Walsh, that is the new police cruiser that was.
Right, that is correct. There was money from last year. The car came in. Car was ordered last year, so the money was brought over to this year to pay for the car.
Thank you.
Anything else, Will? Or, okay.
That's it.
Any further discussion or issues that people want to bring forward? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
And I might point out that we got this meeting done in less than an hour. So this is record.
Very good, Don.
Bye all.
Good
Bye all.
good to everyone. Thank you.
Good night.
Night.